Parsons then printed a series of openly hostile columns aimed squarely at the actor, in which she hinted at her long-standing suspicions of his homosexuality, overlaid with what she considered his extremely unfair treatment of Brooks. In retaliation, Grant did something most actors would have been afraid to do, or were specifically barred from doing by studio contract. He sued Parsons for slander, ending, at least for the moment, her constant and increasingly unbridled personal attacks on him. The case was eventually settled out of court, the terms of which are unknown. Gunga Din opened February 17, 1939, and was a box office winner from day one. It would go on to become the highest-grossing film that RKO had yet released. The heart of its appeal was later described by Pauline Kael, who called it one of the most enjoyable nonsense adventure movies of all time. Even with a severely curtailed foreign market due to the outbreak of war, the film managed to gross an astounding $3.8 million, twice its total production cost. It outgrossed all the other major Hollywood films released in 1939, except one, a year that many critics and film historians judged to be the greatest single year in the history of the movies. Among the films released in 1939 include Victor Fleming's 1-2 combination Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz, Ernst Lubitsch's Ninotchka, Sam Wood's British-made Goodbye, Mr. Chips, Frank Capra's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Edmund Goulding's Dark Victory, Leo McCarey's Love Affair, Louis Milestone's version of John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, John Ford's Stagecoach, and William Wyler's Wuthering Heights. The only film that made more money that year was Henry King's Jesse James, starring Henry Fonda in the title role and co-starring Randolph Scott as U.S. Marshal Will Wright. These are box office comparisons for the year 1939 alone. Gunga Din opened in February, while Gone with the Wind opened in December. Eventually, Gone with the Wind would outgross Gunga Din. Not long afterward, Grant began filming Hawks's Only Angels Have Wings, in which he was paired with Jean Arthur, coming off her highly praised performance in Frank Capra's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Grant would have much preferred to star in Hitchcock's second American film, Foreign Correspondent, an independent feature made for producer Walter Wanger. Hitchcock had wanted Grant to be in the film as well, but couldn't get Cohn to postpone production of Only Angels Have Wings. Hitchcock had signed a 7-year multiple film deal with Selznick. Upon completing Rebecca, the director was eager to stay in America, fearful of the worsening war situation back home. To keep him happy and occupied, Selznick agreed to a one-picture loan-out to Wanger, which would allow Selznick to continue to put all his energies into Rebecca and, more important to him, Gone with the Wind. In addition, Selznick was strapped for cash due to heavy gambling debts. Having Wanger make a picture with Hitchcock, in which Selznick would own a piece but have to put up no money, was the kind of deal he couldn't turn down. The lead in Foreign Correspondent eventually went to Joel McCrea, after Hitchcock tried unsuccessfully to get Cary Grant, then Clark Gable, and Gary Cooper. Years later, Hitchcock said this about the casting of Foreign Correspondent: "I would have liked to have had bigger names. I always ended up with the next best, in this instance with Joel McCrea." In Angels, Grant played a Lindbergh-like character combined with a real-life flyer whom Hawks had known, who had once parachuted from a burning plane and whose co-pilot died in the ensuing crash, after which his fellow flyers shunned him for the rest of his life. Hawks set his film in the Andes and made his heroes daredevil flyers who delivered freight cargo. Jeff Carter, Grant, the operator of one such high-danger operation, gets caught off guard in the middle of his romance with showgirl Bonnie Lee, Jean Arthur, by the surprise reappearance of his ex-wife, Judy, Rita Hayworth, in the role that made her a star, married now to Bat McPherson, Richard Barthelmess. Once more, Grant's personal dictum of not chasing women became an integral part of his character, as he and Hawkes transformed Carter's stoicism into a metaphor for the very type of reserved,
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.